Good morning, everyone. Please forgive my voice. I feel like I'm getting over what seems like the fourth illness I've had this year. I am a person that never gets sick, but this has just been the year of sickness in my family, and we're all getting over various versions of the cold or the flu, despite being vaccinated, etc. So, moving on. This is a good question, and it's a valid question. I wanted to answer it a couple days ago when it came up, but I just wasn't feeling so hot. So, there are three main reasons why we should have a strong partnership with our European allies, and that extends past just Europe. Obviously, Canada, and then although they're not a part of NATO, our alliances with places like Australia or Japan, etc. And the three main reasons are the economic, the security, and just the continuing of our Western way of life, Western way of thinking. So, starting with the economic reasons, the United States is the largest trading partner to the European Union by a huge margin. It's not even close. As of right now, because of the way the United Kingdom is set up and not part of the European Union, they're number two, and the number three is China. So the United States, despite being an ocean away, is a massive trading partner to the European Union. And when you factor in the United Kingdom into that, because they're separate from the European Union, there's a huge addition. So the economic ties, the economic relationship that the U.S. has with Europe is significant. And the stability of maintaining that trade is paramount to not only the U.S.'s success, but Europe's, especially Europe's. But when people think of the trade, they don't recognize how many European companies now operate in the United States. For instance, my wife's BMW was made in North Carolina. I believe it was North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. But anyway, so if European trade were disrupted because of war, specifically in Germany, it might be difficult to get the necessary parts from Germany to the United States to build BMW SUVs in the United States. That could be a loss of jobs for Americans. We have trade in both directions. I mean, I lived in Europe for years, and there's a damn McDonald's in every town and multiple in the cities. So the U.S. has exported its culture to Europe, and we reap the monetary benefits of that. And then we also buy many things. We buy Italian suits and wine and French foods and Swiss candies and German cars and Estonian chips, not like microchips and whatever the UK builds for us. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so the economic tie is the number one. If Europe is destabilized in war, it automatically causes an economic problem both in exports and in imports for the United States. The U.S. exports a huge amount of goods to Europe and imports a huge amount of goods from Europe, all of which translate to American jobs in a significant manner. So that's reason number one. Now, reason number two is security. So yes, the U.S. is largely secure. We're isolated on an island, and we are very friendly with both of our allies, despite what anyone wants to say. We are very friendly with Mexico in the south and extraordinarily friendly with Canada in the north. We are largely uninvadable because we have the largest, most powerful, most advanced military in the world, and you got to cross an ocean to get to us. However, our way of life, our way of operating as a military in the U.S. is to distribute strategically, having an expeditionary military. You can't have an expeditionary military that consistently launches from the United States, which is why we have bases in places like the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, Turkey. We even have bases now in Trzaskopolski, Poland. From when I was there, they were standing it up. Potentially even Chinku, Romania. We have bases in Africa. We have commands, AFRICOM, EUCOM. These are European commands that the United States sends troops and materials so we can avoid having to do a ramp up like we did in World War II. We have pre-positioned stocks, and we have to have countries that agree to hold those for us. And our pre-positioned stocks go all the way up to the top including nuclear weapons in places like Germany. So we have to have some sort of underlying alliance and treaty system to be able to do that, to be able to respond to threats to the US's way of life and the way it globally sees how the world should be operating in a free market democratic system, in order to counter what would be the threat to that, namely autocratic communist systems out of China and Russia. There has to be some form of distributed ability to respond rather than launching from the shores of the US. So to do that, to enforce our ability to maintain our way of life, and that is what it is, to maintain our way of life, and that's the third point, is to maintain our way of life. And if that bothers you, I don't care. I think the communist way of life is 100% garbage. And not garbage in its theory, but garbage in every time it's put into practice, because human beings can't do it. So there's a famous saying, I think it goes something like, capitalism is the worst system in the world except for all the others. The same could be said about democracy. The reality is we are securing our way of life through a collective. The Europeans and the United States have come together, and when I say this, it involves Australia. I know you guys don't want to feel left out and stuff. That a free market system and securing the trade across free markets, a democratic system in which the people decide their leadership, that has to be secured in a expeditionary manner for the US. So that's how we do it. We have bases everywhere. So, and the reality is in Europe, we've seen the longest period of extended peace on the European continent ever. Before 1949, you probably couldn't find a decade or two in which two European nations that are now a part of NATO weren't at war with each other in some form or fashion, whether it was the Brits and the French, the Germans and the Poles, the Germans and the French, or the Italians internally. I mean, there was just a lot of warfare on the continent, and the United States was divorced from that, as we are often divorced from that. But now that we're intertwined economically and culturally, we have a vested interest in ensuring Europe is secure. And we are the one that has the capability to secure more than just our own nation. There's no other country on the face of the earth that has, and that includes the United Kingdom, has the ability to secure other countries' interests in a distributed and expeditionary manner. So those are the three reasons. We have an economic reason that if Europe fails economically, it directly results in the U.S. Having a major downturn, and we would lose jobs. We would lose access to many things that are manufactured in Europe that are not only creature comforts for the United States and for Americans, such as Mercedes-Benz or a Land Rover, but also a lot of the things that they manufacture in parts get shipped to the U.S. for the U.S. to assemble as end items. So a lot of jobs we lost. Furthermore, number two was security. We want to secure and make sure that people can live free, happy lives. They can determine the way forward for their governments. They can determine their own stability. They can prosper. And they can do it without an authoritarian regime crushing them. And then finally, number three was just ensuring that our democratic and free market values are the forefront of the way ahead. If we do not maintain a defensive posture by being powerful, then authoritarian rulers in the communist way of thinking will absolutely try to chip away at that. And that is what we are seeing. That is what is happening in Ukraine. And that is why we see videos coming out of the Russian propaganda machine that say that they would like to turn on Moldova and Poland and even Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia going forward. And just a bit ago, apparently wanting to strike Germany. So that's why. And that was a long video that could have been summed up quickly, but there you go. Have a good day, everyone.